Now, what was maybe even more interesting than the movie was what happened on the way back from the movie. So Kat and I took the bus back home, and we're on the bus, and it's, is it the worst bus ride ever? Not real. Well, okay, by my standards, not really, but she was getting a little freaked out because there was this, there were two, okay, so there was this homeless woman on the bus. She's got like fucked up hair. She's being really loud, and she's getting up and like walking around the bus, that kind of thing. And for me, it's like, just don't make eye contact. Like I see that stuff. That stuff is pretty common, just don't make eye contact, because that like aggroes them. That like pulls aggro. That's what it is. And just, like it's usually not actually a big deal. I just kind of get used to it. Rarely does anything. The worst you're gonna get, like that's usually the worst that'll happen. Someone gets up and they're stomping around and yelling. You can survive that. You're not gonna die. But she's getting like a little antsy, and I'm like, okay, just calm down. It's fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. They're usually not violent. Usually. So we make this stop, right? Or the bus starts pulling over, and this lady is like, no. This is a different lady. A different lady's like, oh, no. The next stop. Because I think she pulled on the thing, like a stop early. She pulled the cord a stop early. She's like, no, next stop. She does this thing where she gets off, where she's just standing there, and the bus isn't moving. And then she gets off the bus, and then she gets back on the bus like a minute later. It hasn't moved. The bus has not moved. Eventually, she just gets off for good, right? She just gets off and she doesn't come back. And, 5 minutes, I was like, okay, sometimes what happens is that the way that the bus schedule works is that they have a specific time that they have to leave a certain stop. So they can get there 5 minutes. They might get there 5 minutes early. But that's because if they arrange the time schedule, if they arrange the schedule for the bus by when they're supposed to get there, that's not super reliable. Because they could get there early. So it's actually more useful to know when the bus is scheduled to leave that stop, because just as long as you get there before 4:35 when it's scheduled to leave, you should at least be able to catch it, right? That's the idea. Whereas if it gets there at 4:35, you have no idea how long it's going to stay there, right? Now, obviously, that gets thrown off because the bus is always late. It is always late, but it's at least more of a useful metric, right? So I figure at first, okay, maybe we're just ahead of schedule. That happens sometimes. Sometimes the driver will literally just park at the stop and like get out and get lunch. I've seen that happen before because we're like 5 minutes early or something like that. So 5 minutes turns into 10 minutes, before you know it. And 10 minutes turns into 15 minutes. And people start getting a little weirded out of why we're not moving. The other thing is that the bus itself was like 30 minutes late to our stop. And then when he got there, he pulled into the wrong stop because it was at like a bus station. He pulled into the wrong one. So we went to go check like, hey, is this actually, because the sign on the top said it should have been our bus. And he's like, yes, I pulled in the wrong stop. This is the right bus. So we're already like 30 minutes late, leaving the theater. Now we're delayed by like 15 minutes. Like, I don't know why we're just sitting here. And this whole time, there's this homeless lady just kind of making people uncomfortable. And at one point, in fact, she gets out of the bus, she steps out, and she pulls her pants down and just starts dumping it on the bus. And it's like, everyone was, and I don't know, I was laughing. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is that bus lifestyle. I'm resurrecting an old segment I did on the podcast from a while ago. I called it, There's Plenty of Reasons Not to Take the Bus. We're doing that again. So she just starts dumping it. She gets back on the bus. People are starting to walk around. They're like moving away from her. Now here's the thing. Across from her, keeping a slightly lower profile, there's a woman who doesn't like outwardly look homeless, but she is acting kind of weird. And she's kind of she's kind of like, I don't know, aggravating is the right word, but she's sort of stoking the fire. She's kind of engaging with the homeless lady who's like tweaking out, right? And you don't really want to engage with them because like it usually just makes the situation first, but she's kind of like making it worse just by like engaging with her. She's got like these grocery bags and stuff, and I don't know, I didn't really know what her deal was. Eventually, Kat leans over and she's like, I think I know what's going on. I think the driver is calling the police and he's waiting for them to get here. And I was like, oh, okay. I've never actually seen that before. That hadn't occurred to me. And I remember this lady walked up to the front to the driver and asked him why we weren't moving. And I kind of caught what he said back to her. And he said, we're trying to do a bus transfer. Now, typically a bus transfer happens if there's some kind of mechanical failure for the bus. It happens every once in a while where you pull into a stop, or maybe the bus is like low on gas or something than they expected. And you just have to switch buses. And that's like not, if you take the bus enough, that's not like unheard of. So I was thinking, okay, that could be it. Or that could be the cover for him calling the police. And I'm like, oh, are they, it could be, because like, I have never seen a bus driver ever call the police on a homeless person who was like making a racket on the bus. They kind of just let it rock. I've never even seen them get kicked off or anything. It just happens. They're just allowed to just hang out, I guess. So I was thinking like, that's kind of out of character. It could be, it could be that he's trying to get her removed. And then I was thinking, what if she has a warrant out for her arrest, right? What if he realized that she has a warrant? So we're stopped for like 20 minutes. And eventually this guy walks up next to the stop. He's wearing like a reflective vest, and he's from the transit authority, like the local transit authority. And I kind of peek out the bus and I see that he hasn't arrived in a different bus. He's arrived in a van, like a city van. And he's talking to the driver outside for a while, like quite a while. And eventually they get back in. The dude in the vest makes a call. Everyone is told to get out of the bus. We're all asked to leave the bus except for those two women at the front, the homeless lady and the kind of shady lady. The shady lady. We're asked to leave. They stay. And then two police cars pull up. They brought out like the entire National Guard to take care of these two people. They go inside, and I just start seeing them taking out the grocery bags. And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. I thought they were going for the tweaker lady. She gets off the bus, and she just walks away. She just walks off, and I'm like, no way. Was it the other woman? Was it her? Did she have a warrant or something? So what we think happened is that we think that she stole something that was in the bags, or she had some kind of a warrant or something, right? And the driver might have recognized that, and that's why he called the police on her. Neither of us really saw her get arrested, which is weird. Just when we got back on the bus, she was gone. And then we just kept on trucking from the same bus. And yeah. So that was like that was the dinner and a show that we got. There's just this weird, I was chilling. Kat was like, oh, I want to go home. For me, honestly, that was like a way that I was relieving stress, was watching this crazy situation unfold. Like, that's the scenic route, baby. Like that's the entertaining bus ride. I can at least take solace in the fact that if I'm inconvenienced, I at least want it to be an entertaining inconvenience that I can tell people about later on say a podcast or something. So let me reiterate, there are many reasons not to take the bus, but there are also some reasons to take the bus, I guess is what I'm getting at. So that was just a weird, just another day on the Samtrans, baby.